Hello, my name is Isaac Muthui, and I am the CEO and founder of Nurucoin, the first Pan-African cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And I would want to talk about Africa, the enemy of herself. The word Africa comes from the Berber tribes, an Afri tribe. They were called Afri, who were around the North Africa. And they were 5,000 years ago. The Berber tribes, known Afri, were the ones who were supplying food to the great Roman Empire. 5,000 years, Africans, of course, this name was given by the Europeans from Afri to give all the black people the common name. And 5,000 years, the people who are feeding the great Roman Empire are not able to feed themselves. Gauteng province in South Africa is a word meaning gold. The world's 50% gold is produced in Africa, in South Africa. When the world talks about gold bullions, it means that 50% of the gold is coming from Africa. Turkeys in Botswana, at times you've had to get a license from the government to slaughter a turkey because turkeys feed on diamonds. Democratic Republic of Congo, gold and diamond is by the rivers. You come to East Africa, we have the best islands. They used to be called White Islands because of the production of the best tea and the best coffee. South Sudan, in places like Torit, gold is measured with cups. Along River Nile in South Sudan, 150 kilometers by 1 kilometer is mangoes which decay in the forest. Egypt has the best historical sites in Africa. So where do we go wrong in Africa? This is the only continent where we loot from the government coffers and we take money to the same pre-colonial master to store for us. But do you know something? The person, if any people, whether it's a social community, a religious community, an economic community, participate in economic activities that bring wealth, and the wealth is stored by the third party, they become slaves to the people who store their wealth. And that is where we are, that we work so hard like elephants and eat like rats because our wealth is stored by the third party. And we seem not to love each other. Africa kills Africa. The many countries that we have in this country, they were not an initiation of Africans. They were brought about by the colonial master to divide Africans by the tribe and the small countries during the scramble for the resources in Africa, so that they could get an opportunity to rob Africa without having one unity. And whenever Africa talks about Africa unity, I'll give you an example. To fly from Kenya to Nigeria, it's only 5 hours. To fly from Dallas to California, it's much further. You need more than 5 hours. I was in Nigeria recently and I was very surprised when I got to the immigration department and they insisted that I must pay for my visa with $1. I went to the ATM machine and I got Naira. I came to the immigration and they told me, no, we only take the $1. You go to a lot of African countries and you wonder, why are you having your currency if you do not believe in it? If you are from the immigration department, the impression that you are giving is that, yes, we have our own currency, but we don't believe in it. We do not believe in our economic systems. Surely, we will keep on getting names if we do not believe in our economic systems. We might not be there, but it is time to begin a step. We are the enemies of ourselves because whenever you go to any other country that has white supremacy, they do not have a problem with each other. To move around Africa, I'm glad UAE last year, they decided that they can do a common visa, which is only 14 countries that have adopted. But I'm looking at the World Bank giving us a rating of 11% trade between Africa, and a whole 66% trade between Africa and Europe. And I'm asking, why are we enemies of ourselves? Why do I buy items out of Africa while across Uganda there are items? It's because we become enemies. We have put boundaries, and Africans, we seem not to love one another. We seem to put pressure, and we suffer from what I call too much analysis that leads to paralysis, that we do not want to support our own. If someone begins a thing, we believe that as long as it is coming from the black person and from ourselves, it is not good. If anybody from anywhere, even if they are coming from the untouchable community in India, where they are not touchable, when they come to Kenya, as long as they are speaking Indian, everybody wants to be loyal to them. Not because we do not have brain, but because we are enemies to ourselves. When you see your brother doing a thing, instead of helping them, I'll give you an example. You have your son who is in school. They come and tell you, Daddy, help me, give me 200,000, I want to begin an innovation. You become an enemy to your son. You do not want them to do it. You put all the roadblocks that can happen. They can never grow. Our governments, if you go to apply for a license for anything, our governments resist innovation coming from the young people with all the mighty. Instead of creating good frameworks in Africa to allow exploration of new technologies, the very same governments become an impediment towards this kind of conversation. It is time that Africa started looking things differently. And if we are going to get ourselves from self-slavery, we must start loving our continent. We must start loving to help each other as Africans. We must start looking for solutions that come from Africa. We must start encouraging homegrown solutions. We must start doing the things that every other person is doing out there. We cannot be lagging behind and only following things when they come 10 years later. We must establish academic institutions that enhance creativity and innovation. We must come up with the research centers that are genuine and that are focused towards creating solutions in Africa. Thank you.